I'm the man, Rod Love, and hey, everybody know the general attorney, Greg Jackson.
Once again, it's on, Brother Love. Hey, you know how we get this thing started every week, man. So go and just tell the people, how's this weekend for you this past week,
This weekend was excellent, great, man. Anytime I'm above ground, man, I'm just enjoying myself.
Listen, man, I hear you talking.
How about you?
Oh, man, let me see, what did I do this week? I can't even remember, man. The weekends go by so fast until it's just like, I have no idea what I did this past weekend.
Hey, we got heat, did it rain this weekend?
I don't even know.
We live in a tropical paradise, man, so it
I know it rained on Thursday because I got caught out there in the rain on the expressway, and so I know Thursday rained. Now, you asked me about Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? I can't help you with that.
It's just been hot. It's been hot. But great, man. Man, enjoying life, man. And these weekends, like you said, they come and they go, man. So we just blessed to be here, man.
Absolutely. But listen, let's go ahead and just jump into things because if folks are hearing these two voices, they're tuned in to two of the most influential voices in Central Florida on a Monday night podcast. Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo guaranteed to raise your IQ 10 to 15 points. And Brother Love on some nights, even 25 to 30. So if you want to be a part of the night show, all you got to do is hit 321-483-7002. Again, to talk to Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo, 321-483-7002. Brother Love, let's get it on.
Hey, Greg, so, man, you know, one of the things that, man, we were having a conversation about, man, and I mean, this conversation keeps coming up. I guess it's significant. And the conversation, man, about NIL.
So, you know, we had a young lady to come in and talk to us about 6 months ago, I believe it was now, about NILs. And when she came to talk to us about NILs, at that point in time, I believe someone asked, are NILs available to high schoolers here in the state of Florida? And at the time, Brother Love, the answer to that question, and appropriately so, was no. Well, just recently, the Florida High School Sports Athletic Association, or whatever FHSAA stands for, I'm assuming that's what it stands for, they determined and decided that high school athletes can actually enter into NIL deals. And so now my understanding is that it has one other hurdle to cross, which is it has to be approved, I want to say by the Department of Education or something like that. But now, in addition to NCAA athletes, now in the state of Florida, soon, quite possibly, high school athletes will be able to enter into contracts for their name, image, and likeness.
Well, great. You know what I'm curious about? I'm curious because, and I'm not up to speed on this thing, but isn't there something related to having to live within a certain district to attend certain schools? And I know that's probably for the public schools. So when you talk about NIL, is it going to be more beneficial for young people who can actually go to private schools and get those NIL deals and not have to live in a district which can possibly make those schools powerhouses?
Listen, Brother Love, you're asking an outstanding question because one of the things that we've seen and one of the major criticisms of NILs on the collegiate level is that you now have athletes that are bouncing from school to school, going to the school that has the most beneficial NIL deal to them as individuals. Now, this is far different from when you were playing ball, when I was playing high school ball. When I was playing high school ball, you know, listen, I was dedicated to my team. I wasn't leaving my team. I was going to stay in high school for 4 years. Like I had a choice. I was going to stay in high school for about 4 years to play for my team all that time. But now you have college athletes who are, in a sense, I don't want to say that word. I was about to say mercenaries, but I don't want to make them that bad. I don't want to do that. But they are putting themselves in the position of being free agents. So now, Brother Love, you're absolutely right. You're going to have high schoolers who are shopping themselves around to go to the best school to get them the best or the most money for NIL deals.
Great. What I do believe, I mean, because when you mentioned that this has been approved by the Florida High School, what is that, Sports Association?
That's what I'm thinking it is.
Okay,
yeah.
But Greg, I do believe that we're probably going to see some legislation come into play because if you look at college right now, and believe me, when I tell you, I don't have an issue about athletes getting paid.
Right.
I'm just, man, I wish it was around when I played.
Yeah.
But, Greg, they opened the gate without really focusing on how this thing should have rolled out. Now it's, the Pac-5, for example. There was a settlement a week or two ago that now the Pac-5 schools are going to share the $200+ million with the players. So the question is, do those players become employees of those schools?
Well,
and if they do, there's a whole lot else that goes into that.
Yeah, I mean, such as rights of employees,
Retirement, pension, healthcare.
in some states, collective bargaining.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that it's a great idea, and I think that, the NCAA, the individuals who pushed this forward, that their hearts and minds were in the right places, but they did not realize the Pandora's box that was being opened by allowing amateur athletes and college athletes and now high school athletes to be paid for their name, image, and likeness, Brother Love.
Let me throw this at you.
Yeah.
Let me throw this at you. There is something else that goes with that.
Yeah.
When you look at communities where a lot of these athletes, I mean, these superstars are coming from, Greg, it does have the potential to turn family lives around.
Well, I mean, no more so than education can do the same to an extent. Now, listen, there are not many jobs or degrees that you're going to step out and make millions and millions of dollars a year. That is less than 1% of the entire world's population. But education, in a sense, Brother Love, has been viewed and has been the vehicle through which a number of people's lives have changed. I mean, I, for one, I went off, got my bachelor's, got my master's, got a law degree, and I will tell you that I think that I am significantly better off had I not, taken that path. So education, I believe, can do the same thing without the other stuff that's going on with the NCAA and NIL.
Okay, I got you, brother, but I still am going to hold my position that when you're talking about high school, and Greg, we're not talking about caps and limits here when you talk about NIL. And so, Greg, if this is not, and I hate, man, believe me, when I hate to use the word regulate, but there has to be some level of controls put in place because I think, man, we're opening up Pandora's box. I want to see, folk get compensated. I never even thought about high school, actually.
Right.
Greg. I never thought about
I don't think many people did.
Yeah.
But listen, when you have child actors who are paid for their talents, so it's not that far-fetched. What makes it what it is the fact that now you have young people who are in a position to shop their talents around and move from place to place and base where they go on how much money someone is paying them. And that is a dangerous mixture, Brother Love, because just imagine these are kids at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Some of these kids are in families who are irresponsible. Not all of them, but some of them. The other thing, too, Brother Love, we have grown people, adults, who don't understand the implications of paying their taxes. What do you think is going to happen with these 13, 14, because we're talking about high school, Brother Love. Now we're talking about 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds who can potentially have a lot of money at their disposal.
But that's again, Greg, why I do make the argument that it has the ability to transform families that are living in communities that they're struggling.
But listen, brother, what about this part too now? What happens when the child becomes the breadwinner in the family? Who controls that child when they become the breadwinner in the family and tell them what they can and cannot do? Now, and I'm not saying that all families are like this, because obviously some good examples of people who have come up and made lots of money in sports early on. Think about the Williams sisters.
Yeah.
Think about Jennifer Capriati. I mean, there are examples of young people who made a lot of money in sports, but there were some challenges in that as well. I mean, think about Tiger Woods.
Hey, but you know what? And I think this was prevalent in California has a law in place about, and I think it was predicated upon young actors. I can't remember the child.
Gary Coleman.
Yes.
Emmanuel Lewis.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you also may see some other, hopefully, Greg, some safeguards put into place because, man, think about the number of emancipations that could possibly start taking place if you see 14 and 15-year-olds making some big money in NIL.
And now listen, brother, it's interesting that you speak about, having control or emancipation in young people who need guardianships and things like that, because we have a guest that's going to be on that can talk to us a little bit about dealing with young people and things like that. Not going to spill the beans just yet, but we do have a special guest that is going to be joining us tonight. Is going to be talking to us about his future plans. But that was a nice little segue, Brother Love. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, with that being the case, Greg, I think this is an opportune time to take a quick commercial break and bring our guests in.
That sounds good. So listen, we want you all to stay tuned because we have a very special guest that's going to be joining us here shortly. And by shortly, I mean within the next 45 to 90 seconds.
Hey, we'll be right back on Let's Talk Nation.
They break, I fix. Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair. I specialize in European cars. They break, I fix at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair. Located at 1240 State Road 436 in Altamont Springs. They break, I fix. Call me, mention Let's Talk Nation and bring your certified dealership repair quote. And I beat by 30%. Remember, they break, I fix. Call me at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040. After they break, I fix. Joe's
European Quality Auto Repair.
Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars, and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair specializes in European cars. Joe's Quality Auto Repair is located at 1240 State Road, 436 in Altamont Springs. Stop paying a king's ransom for your foreign auto repairs. Call Joe's Quality Auto Repair, mention Let's Talk Nation, and he'll beat certified dealership repair quotes by 30%. Call Joe's Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040 for the best affordable and guaranteed European auto repairs.
Hey, welcome back to Let's Talk Nation. We have a special guest in the studio with us this evening. And you know what? Nobody does introductions like my co-host. And hey, the General. Go ahead and lay it out for us, man.
Listen, man, I appreciate it. We told you all that we had a very special guest who was going to be joining us tonight, and he is stepping into the Let's Talk Nation arena to talk about his campaign. He is currently running for judge here in Orange County, the 9th Circuit, and we are very, very pleased to have with us tonight none other than Judge McCarthy. Judge McCarthy, how you doing this evening?
All right.
Very good.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Judge, I want you to do one thing for me before we begin.
Yes, sir.
Put that tag back on. You running for
No.
office.
Watch. You got a green screen behind us. Watch this now. It's doing stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay. See,
Yeah.
you okay? All right. We got you.
I'm thinking of you.
Hey, Judge, before we dive into this, Greg and I was, talking about NIL, name, image, and likeness, and the fact that we were talking about college players getting paid. Now we're learning that high school players can get paid, and Greg and I were just kind of troubleshooting a little bit, but you came in the conversation, and please tell our audience the other thing that we didn't think about.
Well, and so first of all, as a judge, I don't have any opinion about what should be done or any changes to the law, but it occurred to me with high school kids, name, image, and likeness issues, they can't enter into contracts because they're not adults.
Yeah.
So now they're going to need some sort of representation, which might clash with what the parents want to do, and that's a big complication.
It is a huge, and listen, we were just talking a little bit about that, in days of old, and things had to be done in order to protect young child stars and young athletes from their parents because of these things. And so, I mean, this is an issue that I'm going to be, closely watching just for personal reasons, because my daughter was a young athlete, and I wish I could have helped her to capitalize on that. And I'll leave it at that for right now. But listen, tonight is not about NILs and talking about high school students. Tonight is the night to talk to Judge McCarthy about Orange County, his campaign. And Judge, let's talk a little bit about where you are right now and what it is that you do as a judge.
All right, and first of all, by the way, I want to encourage you both to invite my opponent on the show, so to hear from everybody. I am a circuit court judge. I am currently on the family bench. I've got about 3,800 open cases in my family division.
Don't leave
right
out
now.
a West Point grad.
Well, okay. Back before, so So I've been a circuit judge for 2 years, and I was general magistrate at the Juvenile Justice Center in Orange County for a year before that. So I've presided all over. Well, I've heard all the child abuse, abandonment, and neglect cases in Orange County as a magistrate, working under judges. Then I became a judge, and then I had a juvenile delinquency docket, juvenile dependency docket, and now the family division. And you mentioned, yeah, my alma mater is West Point, and long ago, I graduated West Point and served in the Army, and I learned something about you. You were a mortar man.
Yes, sir. 11 Charlie. 11 Charlie. That's right.
I'm an indirect fire guy myself. I was artillery.
Listen. We used to get our from fire control. We used to get where we were dropping rounds from our fire control. So yeah. I remember those days, and I heard you were doing a piece. I believe it was with the 9 minutes with the Ninth Circuit or something like that.
Right. No, you're not.
And you were talking about a circumstance or a situation where you had a light or a pin, and you turned just in time for the what was it?
A mag light saved my life. we were pulling into a new position, a firing position. It was at night, and you know the drill.
I do.
Everything's in blackout drive. There's very little light used. And so I was the fire direction officer at the time. I was second lieutenant, and I'm up above the hatch, and just looking at a map, making sure I know where we are, and that sort of thing. And you know, you've got that tanker helmet on, and so I think I'm hearing something I shouldn't hear, and I turned around, and what I'm hearing was a track, and I turned around, and my lead gun, it was self-propelled, 155 millimeter howitzer. I just see the tube, and it's 20 tons of metal, this thing, just coming at me, and for whatever reason, that driver didn't see our blackout drive, didn't see that we were in front of him. And for whatever reason, God had me with a little mag light with a red filter in my mouth. And so I turned around, he saw it, slammed the brakes, and this 20 tons of artillery tube just comes down and just... man. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, fun times, right?
Now
fun
back
times.
to work.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, Judge, one of the things that as a lawyer, and you were a barrister for how many years?
I started practicing in 1995.
Okay, all right.
So it's about 17 years in private practice and a few years working for some other folks before that.
So as a barrister, one of the things that we always have conversations about amongst the bar, or just even in casual conversations with other lawyer friends, is, you know, who's a good judge or what makes a good judge. Now, I know that you probably developed some opinions as a lawyer. How have you used that conversation of who's that judge, and that's a good judge, to develop who you are today as a judge?
Well, you try to model yourself over the ones that you thought were, first of all, and you probably might hear me repeat these themes if there's other questions. Who hears everybody fairly? Because when you're an attorney, you know this. You were up all night. You might have spent weeks, months preparing for that one, opening argument or that one motion that you want to argue. And there are judges, unfortunately, and we all find ourselves in front of them occasionally, who maybe cut that off a little bit, or don't let everybody be heard. And I, on the family bench, have a lot of pro se. Pro se's people represent themselves and don't have an attorney. A lot of pro se litigants. So that's my number one thing that I've emulated from judges that I've learned from.
Right.
Is make sure that everybody knows that they're fully heard, that they're equally heard. But besides that, I think 80% of the job of being a good judge is patience. The part that you think of that a judge should know the evidence code and know how to respond to objections and know how to rule, that's 15% of the job. Now, it's a critical percentage, but I really think that 80% of the job is having the right demeanor, being very calm, not letting people get to you. So that's what I try to emulate. I pray for three things every day: for patience, humility, and wisdom. Humility usually takes care of itself because I'm reminded all the time that I need help doing this. So without naming any names, I was blessed to have good examples. And when I became a judge, I was blessed to have a lot of mentoring opportunities, a lot of judges who are helping me out to model how to do it.
Nice,
Well,
nice.
Judge, Greg and I, we've been doing this show for about 7 years now. And Greg, how many judge candidates have we had on this show over the last 7 years?
Well,
We got a good track record.
Yeah, I want to say we've had at least a couple every election cycle that come in and give people a chance to get a chance to see who they are and kind of what they do. So,
And to that end, one of the questions that we would often get, and now we kind of pass it on to the judge candidates that are coming on, is questions designed to highlight the importance of voting for a judge in your community. And to that end, can you articulate the impact on the daily lives of people that a lot of times don't think when they go vote how important it is to look at that judge that you're voting for?
Well, I'm going to speak from the perspective of a family or domestic relations
Okay.
judge, and also from a dependency judge like I was before. But what I'm going to say is true if you're on a criminal bench, criminal trials, whatever it would be. You've got individuals in front of you. You don't have political parties in front of you.
Right.
You don't have groups in front of you. You've got Mr. So-and-so and Ms. So-and-so, and people don't think about it. It's humbling. A circuit judge has an enormous amount of power. As a family law judge, I can decide when and how the children are going to spend time with you, and all sorts of other things that are so, I want you to work it out. I don't want to be in charge of
Yeah.
that. That's a real burden, and I feel the weight of that all the time. So that's the first thing is those are individuals in front of you. So you take it one case at a time.
yeah.
I've got to do my best. Don't always succeed, but I have to do my best to make things better for them when they walk out of here, that they've got a little more chance for success with their family. That, and I've got a real heart for children in the system. A quick story. Some time ago, when my grandmother passed away, I went with my father, got on a plane, went to bury my dad's mom. And we were driving around a bit, and I never knew this about my father. He just had me driving around where he was a kid. And he said, just pull over here, stop. And I did. We get out, and he just stands looking at this house. And after a while, I'm like, so Pop, what's this about? And he said, after my parents divorced, the siblings were split up. He was split up from his sisters and his brother. They were poor, and so they were staying with a relative. And he said, that house right there, she didn't know what to do with me. I spent every day locked in a closet, just waiting for my dad to get home from work. And she would let him out and say, don't tell your dad. Now, I'm standing next to my father, who's a giant in my life. And I'm suddenly just sobbing because I'm picturing a little boy.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I've had the privilege in the years since then to represent children in the system and to preside over the cases of, and so I've got a real sense of the pain of the vulnerable.
Yeah.
All right? And I don't mean to be cliched about that, but it's real to me, and so I've been blessed to have such a history in the dependency system as an attorney, a magistrate, a judge. So I know that that first of all, me getting it right is of enormous importance. I don't pretend that I always do, but it takes a lot of diligence to try to get there as much as you can. That's an excellent question, because court cases, you hear about them on the news and you think about it in the abstract, well, how is that thing happening? But there are people sitting in the room, it's their lives. So I'm very well aware of that.
Judge, I'm going to pass the baton back to my co-host, but one of the things that you just described, and I saw your interaction and I listened to the passion when you were talking to Marcus Brown, who has a mentoring program, I hope. But what you just described, your father experience, is something that ACEs, called Adverse Childhood Experiences.
Yeah, and that's a relatively new term, but absolutely.
Yeah, and so, I mean, you're knowledgeable about it, but I saw the passion or compassion that you had when you were talking to Marcus. But Greg and I both see the passion in you as you talk about the experience that you had with your dad. And this is the side that we don't often get
Right, that's
when
right.
we have candidates in here, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir.
So one of the things also that we hear a lot about that folks want to know is, as a judge, you have to remain impartial, different things like that. But how do you stay connected to the community and having to maintain that impartiality? How do you stay connected to the community?
So if there's a blessing to my need to campaign to keep my job, it's that it has given me opportunities to connect with the community that I wasn't even aware of before. So there's that. You start with the various bar associations and groups of attorneys, and that's kind of obvious. But in the course of campaigning, you get to meet members of so many communities. It's very important, and I will admit to this. It's something I hadn't thought about before I was a judge. And I have to say, the Ninth Circuit judges, I'm very proud of them. There's a great tradition, and a lot of it's highly encouraged that at least every couple of weeks you get out there, you go to a lunch, you be with the people that so that they can see that we have a heart of service, that we're serving them, and not just tucked away somewhere.
Well, I will say, somebody who Greg and I both, look up to, and he's been on the show before, but one of the things that the former Chief Judge Belvin Perry used to do often is he would go out and speak to the community to provide information and education. I'm not familiar with the canons of law. I defer to Greg for that, but he did it on a regular basis to the point that the community actually became knowledgeable about how the court is supposed to operate.
Yeah, and I was not a judge then. I was a practicing lawyer, but former Chief Judge Perry, very accessible. That's very obvious. You saw him around, and since then up to our current Chief Judge continues that tradition.
Excellent. So, protecting rights and freedom. I'm going to hit you with this last one, because with all the things that are taking place in General, you're going to have to help me with this one when we talk about protecting the rights and freedoms. In what ways can a judge that we elect protect our rights and freedoms in the community of individuals?
I think the public need a accurate perception that a judge has the right demeanor, like I said before, that a judge will allow them to be heard, that a judge puts time and thought into decisions. Due process is the name of the game. So whenever you're in the courtroom in which I happen to be presiding, there are two things that have to be accomplished. One is resolve whatever the issue is before the court. The motion for X, I want the court to order so-and-so. But that's in tandem, that's right next to ensure due process. So know the rules. So figuring out who to vote for is a difficult thing in judicial elections. It is. People will ask the attorneys, so the attorneys become very influential. But if you don't have that opportunity, I really encourage them to do their own research. You have to figure out, is the person I'm voting for to be a judge someone who is following the rules? Because that's what due process means, just following the rules. So you ensure justice in the community just simply by doing the job. If I don't know what to do, I don't have to make it up, because the legislature has been kind enough to give me a whole set of books. And the appellate courts have been kind enough to give me this whole body of work to answer my questions about the books. So Craig McCarthy doesn't have to figure out what to do with your life. I just have to figure out what those books tell me and make sure that I let you be heard.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, listen, before we let you go and get out of here, let's have a little bit of fun and let folks just kind of humanize the judge for a little bit. And one of the things that I think that I heard is that you're not a player, but you're a gamer. What does it mean to be a gamer?
All right, so I told you that my dad, or I alluded to, my dad had kind of a rough upbringing, and he was a fantastic dad, but there's some things he didn't really know how to do. So, like, I never had that language of sports like some boys have and some girls have with their dads or their moms. And so my children growing up, for whatever reason, we just started, the language between us guys in the household was video games.
Okay.
Right? Because that's what we could relate to. So, yeah, this judge is a gamer. I don't have the time anymore to put the hours in the big role playing games. But I like kind of puzzle games that have stories to them. And yeah,
Well, we got
Judge McCarthy's a gamer.
Well, Judge McCarthy, here as Greg mentioned, man, we appreciate you coming, but what we want you to end with is if you would look into that camera and let the people know who are they going to be voting for.
Oh, thank you so much. I am Judge Craig McCarthy. As I said, I've been a circuit judge for almost precisely 2 years, a general magistrate. It's been a privilege to serve you as one of your circuit court judges. I'm at keepjudgemccarthy.com. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. Our campaign slogan is a lifetime of service. We kind of touched on it. I learned as a 17-year-old cadet at West Point what it meant to serve, and that my life is about things that are bigger than I am. As I said, it's a privilege to serve as your judge. I want to keep doing it, and I'm grateful to these gentlemen for their time.
Judge, thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Nation.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Hey, tune in next week. We'll be having another candidate here, but we have Judge McCarthy here today, and basically you heard it with your own ears. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Judge, thank you once again.
Joe's European Quality Auto Repair.
Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars, and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair specializes in European cars. Joe's Quality Auto Repair is located at 1240 State Road, 436 in Altamont Springs. Stop paying a king's ransom for your foreign auto repairs. Call Joe's Quality Auto Repair, mention Let's Talk Nation, and he'll beat certified dealership repair quotes by 30%. Call Joe's Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040 for the best affordable and guaranteed European auto repairs.
They break, I fix. Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair. I specialize in European cars. They break, I fix at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair. Located at 1240 State Road 436 in Altamont Springs. They break, I fix. Call me, mention Let's Talk Nation and bring your certified dealership repair quote. And I beat by 30%. Remember, they break, I fix. Call me at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040. After they break, I fix. Joe's European Quality Auto Repair.
Hey, welcome back to Let's Talk Nation. But hey, for those of you who just saw Judge McCarthy, that is what Let's Talk Nation is all about. Bringing them to you.
I mean, and more importantly also, something that we try to do on this show is we try to bring a human side of the individuals who are looking to lead a community. A lot of times when people think about judges, they think about them, sitting up high in the black robe with the very serious faces on, and they don't realize that a judge is an individual just like you. They go home to their families just like you. They've had issues or dealt with things just like you. I mean, the story that Judge McCarthy shared about his dad when he got out of the car and different things like that, and spending time with his kids. Those are the things that help people to understand that judges and elected officials are people too, Brother Love.
You're absolutely right, Greg. I mean, that moved me. When he talked about his dad, his dad as an adult was looking back on his years as a child and looking at the fact that growing up, he was locked in a room until his dad, he just couldn't wait for his dad to come home.
Right. Right. That reminded me, as he was talking, I'm just kind of going off down a different path, but, when we talk about some of our more vulnerable people in our community, it's oftentimes young people. And there's a book, if people haven't read it, it's called The Child Called It. And it talks about, some abuse that this young man went through, not to imply that that's what Judge McCarthy was talking about, but when we talk about children, they are some of, and if not the most vulnerable individuals in our community, them and the elderly. And so it's important to have people who have the understanding of those issues to help to continue protecting our young people, as Judge McCarthy has indicated, his job is to try to do. So,
You're absolutely right. Well, hey, tell you what, for those candidates that, you want to come on Let's Talk Nation and tell people who you are and what you're about, hey, you're definitely welcome, and you can reach us at 321-483-7002. Hey, Greg, let me fast forward a little bit. Man, since we're talking about elections and things of the nature, Greg, what's happening, man, with District 5 of the City of Orlando?
District 5, it was and is continues to be one of the more interesting things that's going on here in Orange County, Central Florida. And about 2 weeks ago, or last week, 2 weeks ago, they had an election. It pierced through 7 or 8 individuals to come to 2 people who are now in a runoff election. And one of the more unfortunate things, Brother Love, is that it appears that News Channel 6 and the Orlando Sentinel has taken it upon themselves to print some disparaging things about one of the candidates in the race. Now, I understand that they have endorsed one of the candidates, and that's fine and that's great. That's what they can do. But now they're taking it and they're using their platform to disparage someone that they had in the past endorsed, who these issues that they're bringing up aren't new things. And so it's unfortunate that an African-American male, and I'm just going to say it, has become the target of the news media yet again because he's running for an elected office. And so, I want to challenge, News Channel 6. I want to challenge the Orlando Sentinel to allow this race to be ran on what's best for the residents and not try to pull up things about a person's past. Because, Brother Love, dare I say, some of the reporters who are reporting these stories, I bet, Brother Love, if we started digging into their background, that we'll find some things that they may not be very proud of. So let's have this race based on what's best for the residents and what the individuals can bring, and not because of some shortcomings in someone's past, because everybody has. Even I have some shortcomings in my past, Brother Love.
And Greg, but to that point, and I know we were focusing on this, but in addition to that, man, I mean, and I think you might have shared it with me over this weekend, man, when I look at and I'm gonna just Glenn Galzine, and the fact that, man, no matter what this guy does, I mean, he created a new level of transparency when it comes to voting, where you can go on your smartphone device, your iPad, and actually look at the ballots being open. Man, he constantly is an innovator. But then, Greg, this it's called a severance package. And that was highlighted on the news just recently with the fact that they vilified it. And Greg, it was legal, above board, but the way when you saw this article written about it, I mean, how much more of this is going to take place without folk that have influence in the community just picking up and saying something about it?
Like I said, Brother Love, the news media, in my opinion, it's a disgrace how, in a lot of instances, they portray African-American males. If they can't put us on the front page of the news involved in some type of crime, they want to put us in the news for getting a viable severance package that other individuals get. And it's sad, it's shameful. And I wish that the news media would be more fair to individuals such as Brother Galzine. Because let's say this, Brother Love, and I apologize. I know you're chomping at the bit to say something, but I want to talk right now. Glenn Galzine, for the work that he's done, not just here in Central Florida, but also over in the Tampa area and the St. Pete area, everywhere that he's gone, he's brought a sense of excellence. For the Reedy Creek District, he brought a level of competency that was missing with that organization, and was asked by the governor to come to the Orange County Supervisor of Elections because of that level of competency that he has and that he always brings to everything that he has done, from the Urban League. And where was the Orlando Sentinel when Glenn Galzine was out working in the community to try to help underserved communities through the Urban League? That's what I want.
You're right. Where was the Sentinel? Where was the other news media? But Greg, something even bigger and late-breaking than that. Glenn Galzine, Greg, is the architect of what was just in the Sentinel yesterday or today, when it talks about the $8 billion that Disney has committed.
Oh, they forgot about that.
They forgot about it.
Yeah, they didn't mention his name on that.
And let me finish this. The $8 billion would be dollars that Disney has committed to working with buy local small business organizations over the next 10 years.
Yeah.
That half of the $8 billion is going to go to those organizations. Glenn Galzine is the architect of putting that together, but we don't see any credit given for that. We don't.
Because he can't go to jail for that. I
Oh.
guarantee you that if it was some scandal attached to that Glenn Gelzine's name would have been tattooed all over.
Where are the leaders in the community that are sitting back saying there's a common theme here? When you look at State Attorney Andrew Bain, and you look at the fact that everywhere you turn, he's out in the community.
Oh, wait, hold up. You say, where are the leaders? We've been talking about it. Here
Well,
are the leaders right here.
You're right.
Follow our lead.
You're
I
right.
mean, listen, look, because let's say this, and let me let you finish with Andrew Bain, because I want to get to something, but look, with State Attorney Bain, because I want to get to something.
But you know what? State Attorney Bain, and Greg, he's been in communities. He's been doing de-escalation trainings all around Orange and Osceola County, and de-escalation to the extent, Greg, that he's trying to help community and law enforcement, not just one side. Community and law enforcement look at, hey, look, we don't want to see a life lost unnecessarily, and here's the different scenarios for de-escalation. But he's not just doing that, Greg. The other thing that State Attorney Andrew Bain is doing, he's getting out working with these mentoring programs. He's getting out working with Department of Juvenile Justice programs. He's telling these parents, he's telling these kids, I don't want to see you in the courtroom. What can we do? And he's gotten with AMI, he's gotten with workforce training programs so that these young people have some other options presented to them. But where are the stories about that? And so I'm gonna pass the baton, Greg, but I'm saying where are the stories on that? And you're right, leaders are speaking up. You and I, that's what we're doing right now, and this wasn't even in our script tonight.
Wasn't even in our script tonight.
But,
yeah.
but Greg, I will say this, man, if we continue to be silent about what's taking place with folk that are leaders, that are stepping out there doing some things nobody else is doing, if we remain silent, and I'm talking about those other leaders, Greg, I don't hear them.
Because it could easily be you that we're speaking up for next, because this is not new to us. But Brother Love, let me show you the difference, Brother Love. Let's talk a little bit about the district attorney in the great state of Georgia, who is currently prosecuting Donald Trump, and also what's his name, Giuliani has.
You really want to get me fired up tonight,
listen. So Giuliani has found himself in the crosshairs as well. And so, brother, let me tell you the difference between how we do things and how other people do things. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm not just going to challenge the men on this. I'm going to actually challenge the women as well. I'm going to challenge the women as well. So this afternoon, we're doing our show prep. And, as we normally do, we're scouring the news cycles and we're shooting back and forth different things. And we came across something where is it Louis Giuliani? What's his name? Rudy Giuliani. Yeah. In a speech to some conservative group, and I normally don't say this word, Brother Love. I don't. When
you say conservative, Christian group, yeah.
So there were a couple of things that I stopped doing in 1993, Brother Love, and challenge me on this if you would. Yeah,
I was going to get on that because
there's a couple of things I stopped doing in 1993. Number one, I stopped cursing in 1993. All right. So I used to listen to Richard Pryor growing up as a kid. My parents know this because they had the album in the house, so I got it honest. So I stopped cursing in 1993, right? In 1993, believe it or not, Brother Love, I stopped using the N-word, and I stopped calling white people by the C-word that people refer to them as, because I felt like I don't want to call my people what I don't want to hear other people calling, and then I can't be a hypocrite and call white people something that's offensive to them as well. So I stopped using the N-word, and I stopped calling white people the other word. The other thing I stopped doing, Brother Love, is I stopped using disparaging words and terms towards women. So I didn't call women by the B word, and I most certainly didn't call them a W-H-O-R-E or an H-O-E. That aside, tonight, Brother Love, for the first time in 31 years, Brother Love, I'm about to say this word, and I don't like saying it, but Rudy Giuliani referred to Fani Willis, who I'm not a fan of. Let's be clear about this. I'm not a fan of Fani Willis, but he called her a hoe.
Yeah.
Don't believe me? Go back, listen to it. Rudy Giuliani referred to Fani Willis as a hoe.
That pissed me off.
Listen, beyond that, the first thing we did, Brother Love, is we came together. You, myself, Dr. Light, I don't know if Armando jumped in, but I know Brother Armando was on there too. And we said, despite what we think about Fani Willis, it is unacceptable for anyone to call an African-American female, or any female, but we're dealing with an African-American female right now, out of their name for any reason. So I don't like what Rudy Giuliani has done.
But Greg, talk about the response to that. That's the thing that really pissed me off.
I mean, you had people in the crowd who were cheering. Now, it wasn't as loud of cheers as he thought that he was going to get, but the fact that you had people who were cheering about an African-American female being referred to by that name is abhorrent. And not only, you know, and Giuliani, I kind of felt sorry for him. You know, old man, you know, kind of got caught up in the moment. But as far as I'm concerned right now, if they can find a way to put Rudy Giuliani in prison for the remainder of his life, that's all fine with me, because that is highly unacceptable. But this is the point that I'm making, Brother Love. When we heard a female being called out of her name, or when we heard a female being wrongfully described, or whatever the case may be, in a public forum, instead of sitting back and being quiet about it, despite what we think about her personally, we're standing up and we're saying that we stand with Fonnie Willis because what Rudy Giuliani did and said about her is absolutely wrong. There is no place in this society where we should allow that to happen. That's just like just like the woman when this white guy came up to her and did something and he slapped her, and the black dudes didn't do anything except pull off of him.
Yeah.
Please, oh please, never let me see somebody putting their hands on a black female like that. Please don't let me see it.
Greg, you know, we're having this conversation, man, and it's a reflex.
Yeah.
You know, it's a reflex. And then I know when you and I had this conversation, and you said, Brother Love, I couldn't watch any more of that video. I watched the whole video.
You finished, I couldn't watch it.
And the other thing, man, that just was so revealing to me, man, as I watched this, and then America's, what is it? America's governor? Is that what it is? Oh, America's mayor?
Who?
Judy Riddick.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, but then, Greg, it went to the point that he started telling her how to spell her own name.
I ain't see it, Brother Love. I didn't see it.
I mean, Greg, but I'm going to just go back to your point. If you sit back and be quiet, and again, just like you said, Greg, man, I don't agree with everything that's been taking place.
No.
With her. But, man, you don't do that. You don't call a woman out. And I'm not going to say just a black woman. You don't call a woman out like that, period.
Unless she's a Karen.
Unless she's, yeah.
Or Shaniqua.
I know Doc is not.
And listen, I'm just putting a little levity to the situation,
Yeah.
but you're absolutely right. Doc Flight, what you got?
Yeah, you know,
Doc, we can't see you, brother.
I know. I don't want to be seen.
He's still mad about that, the Django hat thing last week, man.
But,
He's still mad.
optics, but go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Hey, nah. See, I had to. That now this
There
is
we
the
go.
Django
Now we
hat.
got
Okay.
We got you.
Okay, so
Come on, man.
listen, you know, this disparaging stuff about black women, you know, it made me absolutely livid. I only cursed once in front of my mother. This is the esteem that I have for black women, you know, and to hear this man, especially in a so-called Christian event, to me, it just verifies what many are saying about the evangelical church. It's racist. To sit there and say this in front of a group that is representing Christians or Christ is deplorable. I would have immediately pulled this man off and disinvited him. You just don't do that.
And Doc,
Regardless of what your politics are, you don't want to do that.
You're right.
We agree with you. We
You're
agree with you 100%. I think, Doc, that would have been far more effective if people could see the stress on your face as you was arguing that. But Doc, we agree with you 100%.
But here's the other thing too, though, Doc, and help me with this. After seeing that, and I don't know who else has seen it, I don't know how we came across it, but why aren't we hearing more people up in arms about what this man said about this woman? But here's the other thing too, though. Why is it that when African-American males are being drugged through the mud like this, we don't see more African-American males or females speaking out for black males like this? For instance, why is it that no one has stood up and said that, hey, what you're saying about Andrew Bain, despite what my politics is not appropriate? Hey, what you're saying about Glenn Gelzine, despite what my politics is not appropriate. We're not going to let you drag anybody just for the sake of politics.
Greg, why you don't think nobody's saying it? Why do you think, you and I know we're special, but...
Listen, Doc, I told you this, because I think I was campaigning with you when I told you this. When somebody told me that if Jesus Christ was a Republican, they wouldn't follow him. I knew that we would go into purgatory in a handbasket.
But you know,
You have people who are more committed to a party than they are to doing right.
To doing right. Okay. Doc, what's your thoughts?
and that's what it has become, a de facto cult religion. And they can't see decent, but it goes on both sides because there are Democrats just as dogged as those evangelicals.
Yeah.
And so we have to really be concerned for the nation, because at some point we're gonna come to them versus us, and it's already there, because as y'all saw about Alito, Justice Alito is spewing this stuff. A man that sits on the Supreme Court, supposed to be impartial, is in private going against liberals, so-called liberals. And it's a us and them mentality that these powerful people are cultivating in our nation.
Doc, I think it was a combination of things, and Greg, you and I, we had this conversation, but I think it was a combination. When I watched the video, I heard what he said, but then what just was added to it was the response that he got.
Mm-hmm.
And then the response really pushed him to go even further.
Oh yeah. They put the booster cables on that old man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put. I mean, listen.
Yeah, I've never cared for Giuliani because of his personality.
Listen, I saw the change in New York when he became mayor of New York. My cousin was up in school in New York, so I used to spend a lot of time in New York, and I did. And I applaud him for what he did to clean up the
Change
city.
for better.
Change for better. That is not the Giuliani that we're seeing today. This guy is off the rails.
Well, he might be going through the change.
And Greg, when you talk about you saw the change in New York, one of the things that
Hold on. How you gonna slide past that?
See,
How you gonna slide by that, man?
Hey,
I ain't gonna let you slide by that.
no, I didn't want to.
Doc be sliding in there. See, I be trying to cover for you, Doc.
He's right,
you know,
he's right, though. He's right, Doc. I believe you're right, Doc.
It's apparent. This man is not. They talk about Biden. All three of them slide.
Yeah.
And Lord help us, because we got to vote for two of them come November. Man.
Right.
Lord help us.
Hey, Doc,
We
I gotta
gotta put an
take
age
Greg.
limit. We need to put an age limit on the presidency and the Supreme Court.
Well, you know they have an age limit here in the state of Florida.
On the Supreme
Yes.
Court.
On the Supreme Court, yeah. And I
Quite a
think
few
that
states
that is-
have age limits.
Yeah. Listen. If a pilot can't fly a plane after a certain age, I most certainly don't think that someone should be making rulings over things that affect this country after a certain age.
It's 70 for
70 years in the state of Florida for
yeah.
a Supreme Court justice in Florida.
My thing is the generational changes that take place.
That's true.
You know,
Say
because
it again, Doc. The what?
I say the generational changes that have taken place. The generation coming now should not have old fogies trying to impose their past standards on them.
Well, now, I don't know if I completely agree with that, Doc, because this new generation, they need some guidance, man.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. You're in your 50s rather than his 50s, right? Mm-hmm. This is how I see it. The next 20 years, my focus is going to be on keeping me alive. I ain't got time to deal with all that other stuff. Okay? Y'all can have the president y'all want. Just let me get my little space and take care of me. Okay? I ain't got time to be out there marching and singing "We Shall Overcome" and all that. I'm going to focus on my health and my well-being and the legacy
And
that
your
I need to
peace.
leave for my immediate family.
And your peace. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Hey, Doc, this is the time that I got to take Greg through some rapid fire, man.
Okay, all right, bye.
Greg,
All right, Doc, be good,
appreciate
man.
you, Doc. Greg, Donald Trump's projected running mates. Come on, give us a rundown.
Listen, man, let me tell you something that's very interesting to me, Brother Love. We talk about the Democratic Party as the party that minorities come to. But when I see the potential presidential or vice presidential candidates with Donald Trump, I'm amazed at why it is that it is a Republican that's doing this and not a Democrat. But I'm also equally amazed at the criticism that I'm going to see about these black men that are potential running mates for Donald Trump. So with that stated, Brother Love, Senator Tim Scott appears to be at the top of the list to be the running mate for Donald Trump. Next in line, or somewhere close to that, is an African American here out of the great state of Florida. He's a representative in Congress by the name of Brian Donalds. He has the opportunity. The other name that has surfaced is a black physician who was the former Secretary of HUD here in the United States by the name of Ben Carson. We also have another minority male by the name of Marco Rubio, who is also a senator here from the great state of Florida. Who I've been hearing as the dark horse, Brother Love, and I still stick to this, I believe that Nikki Haley still has that chance. She has proven herself able to get the votes that Donald Trump cannot get. And I think that he would be making a big mistake. Well, listen, and a mistake that I'm fine with because I'm a Democrat. So, but I think he'll be making a huge mistake by overlooking Nikki Haley.
One other one that I think you left off, and I don't know how much.
On purpose.
On purpose? North Dakota?
Yeah.
Oh, so you left him. What's
Not
it,
a minority.
Bergen?
Yeah, not a minority. These are minorities.
Okay. Okay.
See the
okay.
trend?
I see the trend. I see the trend.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Hey, Hunter Biden. Give us the update on the Hunter Biden.
Oh, man, Hunter Biden, for those who have been listening, because we were talking about this 3 years ago on this show about some of the challenges that Hunter Biden has had. The fact that there was a laptop that was found that they tried to say was Russia misinformation and it ended up being true. The fact that on that laptop it had Hunter Biden doing crack with prostitutes, true statement, not slander because that's on the laptop. But Hunter Biden just last week went into his trial, a federal gun trial, because he apparently lied on a gun application by saying that he was not on drugs at the time that he purchased the gun, when in fact, not only was he on drugs, but the person that found the gun that he purchased after smoking crack with him was his former sister-in-law, who was his deceased brother's ex-wife or his deceased wife's widow that he was having a sexual relationship with. This guy, he's a champ, Brother Love. Hey, this is the person that you want to model all of your kids after, is Hunter Biden. Crack addict, lies on applications, and dates his deceased brother's wife and has sexual relations with her, and she finds a gun in his car after smoking crack with him.
I think you nailed that one short. I think you nailed that shut. So I'm just gonna move on to last but not least. Great. President Biden signs executive order restricting asylum seekers at New Mexico border, U.S.-New Mexico border.
You know, a lot of people are asking why is President Biden doing this now? There has been a crisis and an issue at the border for the past 3 years. There's been a call for there to be restrictions of asylum seekers at the border for the past 3 years. There's been a call for there to be a return of the catch and release to take that off because this country has had an influx of, some say, almost of 20 million illegal or undocumented individuals entering into this country from unsecured borders, mainly at the Texas, Arizona, and Mexico border. And so just recently, last week, and people are saying this is for political expediency, and I don't know how we can disagree with it. President Biden signed into an executive order stating that individuals can no longer enter into this country without going through the proper asylum procedure, and that it would not be an open door. And basically what they said is that if over a 7-day period, the average number of individuals who are coming through the border is more than 2,500 people per day, then they would shut it down for an additional 7 days and only allow 1,500 people in. Now, when we talk about it, Brother Love, 2,500 people per day, if that were coming in, is still a lot of people. That's over 900,000 people who can potentially come into this country. That's a lot of people coming into this country, especially when we look into these communities where you have folks that are struggling,
frustration
with jobs. And listen to this,
economics.
Brother Love. Listen to this, Brother Love. When we talk about economics, the U.S. jobs report that just recently came out, and listen, if it's not true, we got to talk to somebody. But they said that if not 100%, nearly 100% of the new jobs that were created last year were created for individuals who were not from this country. Check the numbers if you don't believe me. This is being widely reported, but because we don't listen to talk radio, listen to news, we miss this stuff. That's why Brother Love and I are here to raise your IQs 10 to 15 points.
So what does that say? And Greg, I don't want to put fear in anybody, and I know we got less than 6 seconds. What does it say to Americans about their ability to, I mean, Americans don't want to work these jobs that we used to work.
Says who? That's what you just said.
But it's proof. I mean,
so you mean to tell me you ain't seen a black man riding around with a lawnmower trying to cut grass?
Yes.
You trying to tell me that?
But hey, Greg. See, you wait till we get down to 1 minute. And I'm not disputing what you're saying, but what I am saying is, I see more people not from this country that's willing to get out there and get on the back of them lawnmowers, concrete construction. You tell me if you see different. I'm telling you what I see.
No, I see people in general who want to work, who are starting companies and unable to compete because we have to pay taxes. It's more difficult because we're paying taxes on the money that we're making, and these individuals are not.
And what I see with this, I see frustrations of Americans, man, that are look at the benefits that people are coming into this country that are getting, but then I also see
Without paying back into
the system. But I also see the economics. People are getting tired of hearing about millions of dollars going to people who are just coming to this country versus people who need it that are in this country.
Not just coming to this country, Brother Love. We don't want that to be confused with individuals who go through the proper process.
You're right.
Individuals who are entering this country illegally. And listen, I hear all the people talking about, oh, well, you know, we're supposed to be this and we're supposed to be that. Yeah, but don't be a fool about it.
You're absolutely right.
Don't be a fool about it.
You and Doc do this to me all the time, man, and y'all put me up against the doggone clock. But you know what, Greg?
What's that?
Man, I love what we do, and we're going to continue to do it. Brother, you do not have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
Hey, until next Monday, go ahead and tune in to Let's Talk Nation so that you can have a conversation with us. We'll see you next week.